Zach Bryan has done it again. But this time, he didn't just break hearts with a dusty love song about long roads and broken promises. Nope, he's breaking the internet. The Oklahoma-born country star just dropped a lyrical bomb called Bad News, and let's just say ICE might be on the receiving end of this one. Yes, that ICE, the Immigration and Customs Enforcement Agency. Country music has had its fair share of drinking anthems, truck ballads, and porch light reflections, but rarely does someone in cowboy boots go after a federal agency. And yet, here comes Zach Bryan, twang and all, charging headfirst into America's political minefield like he's auditioning for Yellowstone, the Protest Edition. The song teaser hit social media like a wildfire on a dry Texas afternoon. Just a few seconds of lyrics, gritty, poetic, and sharp enough to slice a flagpole in half, had fans losing their minds. And ICE is gonna come, bust down your door, try to build a house no one builds no more, he sings, his voice drenched in that signature rawness that makes every line sound like it's been soaked in whiskey and honesty. The line lands like a punch, the kind that makes you sit up and wonder, wait, did Zach Bryan just take a political stand? Because for years, he's been the poster boy for staying out of the messy stuff. While other musicians pick sides, Bryan kept to his lane, writing about heartbreak, soldiers, and small-town Americana. But with Bad News, he's clearly done being quiet. To understand why this is hitting the culture like a thunderclap, you've got to know the man. Zach Bryan's rise wasn't built on slick Nashville marketing or glitzy radio singles. He was a guy uploading songs to YouTube from a Navy barracks, guitar, grit, and no filter. Fans found him because he felt real, like that guy at the bar who'll talk your ear off about life, loss, and love without pretending he's got all the answers. And that authenticity is his secret weapon. When Zach sings, people believe him. So when he calls out ICE, the same agency that's been accused of everything from inhumane detentions to family separations, it hits different. It's not some polished political statement crafted by PR reps. It sounds like a man staring at the state of his country and saying, yeah, we can do better. Now, country music and politics have a long, awkward relationship. Let's not pretend otherwise. The genre that gave us Courtesy of the Red, White, and Blue and Have You Forgotten isn't exactly known for its progressive protest anthems. But that's been changing lately. Artists like Casey Musgrave, Maury Morris, and Jason Isbell have been pushing the envelope, challenging the idea that country music has to lean one way. Bryan stepping into this arena is huge because he's not Nashville polished. He's not part of the Music Row establishment. He's an indie success story with the kind of loyal following that could fill football stadiums and still feel intimate. And when that guy suddenly turns his pen towards something political, people pay attention. The reactions online were predictably explosive. Twitter, or X if you insist on making Elon happy, lit up like a 4th of July firework factory. Some fans called it brave, comparing him to Bruce Springsteen, a working-class hero who sang about the flaws in America while still loving the hell out of it. Others called it career suicide, warning that he's gone woke and will alienate his core base. Ah, yes, the internet, where every opinion has the emotional maturity of a bar fight at clothing time. But that's the beauty of Zach Bryan. He doesn't seem to care. He's never made music for algorithms or chart positions. His songs are messy, emotional, and completely human. And Bad News fits right in. Even more interestingly, Bryan's political stance is a bit of a head-scratcher for some of his longtime followers. This is a guy who's been seen hanging out with Donald Trump. There's even a photo floating around of the two smiling together like old buddies. And in a previous interview, he didn't exactly sound like a man gearing up to drop an anti-ICE anthem, so for him to suddenly turn around and start singing about the darker sides of American power, that's got the gossip mill working overtime. Some think it's a personal evolution. Others say it's a reflection of what so many Americans feel, torn between patriotism and disillusionment. Because at its core, Bad News isn't about politics. It's about conscience. It's about looking at your country and realizing love sometimes means calling it out when it stumbles. The lyrics themselves are classic Bryan, gritty, poetic, and simple, but loaded with meaning. There's that line about the fading of the red, white, and blue, which just about sums up the heart of the song. He's not rejecting America, he's mourning what's been lost. The imagery paints a picture of a country losing touch with its compassion, a place where ideals have become slogans. And in a genre where waving the flag is often a musical requirement, that's a gutsy thing to do. He's not burning the flag. He's saying, let's make sure it still means something. Of course, you can't talk about a move like this without bringing up the culture wars. Some conservative commentators have already started labeling Bryan as ungrateful or out of touch. Meanwhile, progressive fans are cheering like he just rode into town on a moral high horse. But maybe the real takeaway here is that he doesn't belong to either camp. Bryan's music has always been about the gray area, the space between pride and pain, loyalty and rebellion. He's not preaching, he's testifying. There's a difference, and maybe that's what makes him so refreshing in a time when everything feels like a hashtag. Then there's the musical side. The teaser we've heard so far suggests a stripped-down sound, just a few instruments, his voice carrying the weight. No fancy production, no overblown drama. It feels intimate, like he's sitting on a porch somewhere, watching the sunset and wondering when America stopped feeling like home. It's a kind of simplicity that makes his message hit even harder. Because when the production drops away, all that's left is truth. And that's something that Bryan has in spades. The timing of all this is interesting too. With the 2026 election already casting a shadow and immigration likely to be a hot topic again, bad news could become a cultural lightning rod. Country music has long been the soundtrack of America's heartland, but it's also becoming the mirror of its conscience. If Zach Bryan keeps pushing in this direction, we might be looking at the birth of a new kind of country protest music. Something raw, unfiltered, and impossible to categorize. It's less, this land is your land, and more, what happened to our land? But let's not forget, Zach Bryan has always been unpredictable. He could release the full version of Bad News next week, or he could scrap it entirely and drop an album about dogs, dirt roads, and daylight. That's the thing about him. You never know what's coming, and that's exactly why people love him. He's not trying to be the voice of a generation. He's just trying to be honest. And sometimes, honesty sounds like protest. In the grand scheme of things, Bad News might not change the world, but it's definitely shaking up country music's comfort zone. And that's no small feat. For too long, artists in the genre have been told to stay in their lane, as if songs about heartbreak and patriotism are the only ones allowed to play on country radio. Bryan's daring to challenge that, to remind everyone that country isn't just about where you're from, it's about what you feel. Whether that feeling is love, loss, or frustration with the system, it's all part of the story. And sure, some fans will roll their eyes, claim he's gone Hollywood, or say they miss the old Zach. But the truth is, the old Zach was always this Zach. He's always written about the things that keep him up at night. It's just that now, those things happen to include ice raids and disappearing ideals instead of lost lovers and empty bottles. Growth is uncomfortable, both for artists and audiences. But that discomfort, that's where art happens. What's next for Zach Bryan after this? Hard to say. Maybe a full album of socially conscious songs. Maybe a return to the familiar comfort of heartbreak ballads. Or maybe, just maybe, he'll continue to blur the line between the two, because that's what great artists do. They make you think, feel, and argue all at once. And right now, he's doing all three. If nothing else, this moment cements his status as one of the most unpredictable, authentic voices in modern country music. The kid who once sang about broken hearts is now singing about a broken system, and somehow it feels like a natural progression. Because at the end of the day, both stories come from the same place, caring too much. Whether it's for a person or a nation, Zach Bryan clearly feels things deeply, and that, more than any political statement, is what sets him apart. So while the rest of the internet debates whether Bad News is brave or reckless, one thing's certain, Zach Bryan isn't afraid to write songs that make people uncomfortable. In a world of manufactured outrage and auto-tuned patriotism, that's something worth celebrating. He's giving us something real. And maybe, just maybe, that's the good news hidden inside Bad News, because love of country doesn't always sound like a marching band. Sometimes it sounds like a lone voice in a guitar, asking if we've lost our way. And if that makes people squirm, good. It means they're listening. So here's to Zach Bryan, the Navy vet turned troubadour, the reluctant rebel in a Stedham, the guy who reminds us that country music can still make headlines without selling its soul. The man's not afraid to call it like he sees it, and whether you agree with him or not, you can't deny he's got guts and a hell of a pen. And if this is bad news for Nashville's old guard, maybe that's the best headline country music could get this year. Thanks for tuning in, and hey, don't forget to subscribe to Inside Hollywood for all the latest in music, mayhem, and the stories shaking up the entertainment world.